doing 100 things. Even I'm a bit overwhelmed.
I feel like the world we live in right now calls for us to wear different hats.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Or have many feathers in our caps.
Yeah. There are no limits to what we can do. And thank God we're living that period time. Because I know there was a period where women were, they were told, this is the only thing you can do. But now...
A mom and
a
teacher.
Yes. And now we can do like 3, 5, even 10 things if you want.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. There's someone who didn't want to hire me because they said, you do so much, Yolanda. Like, you're not good at one thing. I'm like, I'm good at all those things. That's why they're in my resume.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
We know how to multitask. Chew gum and walk at the same time, for instance. And then let me introduce you to Rehema Nyambura, but you're Nyambura the therapist.
Yes.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. And Nyambura the therapist is a trauma-informed family and marriage therapist.
That's right.
Our conversation today, ladies, is the ripple effects of mental health. I think before the music went, when the music was still playing in the background, I told you guys how I feel. I'm not a skeptic. I'm just saying I feel like the conversation about mental health in our country is very ornamental. It feels like vyombo za wageni. Remember your mom's display cabinet with the nice china?
Right.
That was always there, but you never used it. But it was always there, pretty and nice and polished. Every public holiday you're told to panguza, wash and stuff. But do we even understand about the mental space? Do we understand what mental health means in our country? Maybe you girls can, ladies.
I guess the expert should start.
So to understand this, we have to look at the history. And I don't want this to be a science class, but I'm very passionate about mental health. But to be honest, I think there is an overview of a perception of what mental health is. But in terms of practicability, oh gosh, we are such a long way to go. But just very generally, baseline of what mental health is your emotional, cognitive, and physical, which is emotional is your feelings, cognitive is your thought and how your brain operates, and physical, how your body responds to how your brain operates, of all those being in a balanced state. That is mental health. So it's just not emotions, it's just not thoughts. It literally is the whole physiology of a human being, how balanced they are. And if you ask me, and maybe I am biased, but I'm okay being biased, I feel like quality of life first starts with the quality of mental health. If your mental health is imbalanced, if you're in extremes of either whichever, making decisions, how you relate to other people, how you show up in your family, how you listen to music, how you enjoy books, all that is biased and is warped.
Yes.
So low mental and an unhealthy mental state equals to a really low quality of life. And we need to start, if we want to improve our life overally, we need to start with improving our mental health. And what that means is access to mental health establishments, information, and this is scientific information, not opinions.
Yes.
Scientific information on what can help and what can improve the quality of life of anyone who really wants to live a balanced mental health state. Now, you can go into all this. You can go into family therapy. You can go into clinical counseling. All those things, they have their own place and standard. But when you're looking at a human being, you need to understand that a human being is a systemic being. So like what that means is a human being you have your right hemisphere and left hemisphere. You bring those together, you have a working neurological system.
Yes.
That feeds into your central nervous system, which feeds into your gastrointestinal system, that feeds into your pulmonary system, that feeds into your endocrine system. And so if you as a human being, because you're a systemic being, if your systems are not balanced, for sure, the systems that you interact with, which is your family of origin, because that too is a system. Schooling is a system with its own structure and its own language. Religion is a system with its own structure, marriage and all that stuff. As a human being, if your system is not internally balanced,
yes,
all these other systems that you interact with, they will also not be balanced. And because I was trained in family systems as a therapist, most of these things that we're seeing, yes, they are physiologically diagnostical, like you can diagnose them, either it's depression or anxiety or PTSD or all that stuff. But when you study those, most of the diagnoses that we have, and I'm not negating that they are truly diagnoses, but most of those diagnoses that we have are as a result of a behavior adaptation of something. So for example, if you go through trauma, and trauma is an event that causes an emotional experience. So trauma is what happened to you. The emotional experience is what continues to happen to you. If you go through a trauma in your early childhood, what happens is you have a behavior adaptation of fear. And fear observable is anxiety. And so you become, quote unquote, an anxious person. But that's not your primary diagnosis.
I love
it's
that.
a behavior adaptation based on what happened to you
in
that
your
continues
childhood.
to happen to you. And so when you look at mental health that way, it's just not talking. There's a lot of science that has gone into it. There's a lot of slow pace, especially when you go to therapy. The first thing we do is to slow you down, because the parts of your brain that learn based on the parts of your brain that respond to the different environmental situations that you're going through, they're different. Your brain cannot learn if you're in a heightened state. And so the first thing is to slow down, to educate on there's really, you're feeling like there's something wrong with you. But if you take yourself in a situation, your behavior makes sense in context. And so mental health is just not something that is ambiguous, that is out there. It's not thinking positively. That has its space.
Yes.
But over time, as human beings who've experienced the systemic human, who's experienced different aspects of the external systems that have produced a person as they are. And mental health means helping this person understand what happened to them. And because we normally say that the brain can't change what it doesn't understand. Once the brain understands, then it starts to change.
I love that. I love that. I love that. And you're a very good orator. You speak very well. Yes. Angie, can I call you that?
Absolutely.
Why is mental health a passion point for you at the moment? Because music, acting, and then now you're starting the pot with a play. We're going to get to that.
Sure.
But why is mental health important to you at the moment?
I think by virtue of being in the entertainment space, there's a misconception that being an entertainer is all glitz and glamour. You see the finished product, everybody praises you, you get gazillion followers on social media. But then people don't understand that if you're a creative, the source of all your creativity comes from the mind. That's where everything starts, whether it's a play, whether it's music, whether it's a dance move, whether it's writing a book. And I imagine it's for every other profession, but of course I'm biased because I am in the entertainment space, so I'm speaking to that. And so I am passionate about mental health primarily for that reason. I see people around us in our industry get judged so harshly if they say something that's incorrect or socially incorrect, or they behave a certain way. They get castigated very quickly, and they don't understand the pressures of just trying to maintain an image that is a byproduct of being talented. It's a byproduct, you know. People don't treat fame like a byproduct. They treat it like the be-all, end-all. And a lot of people are aspiring to be stars because of that finished product. But then nobody goes down to the root. And I love the way you've so eloquently spoken about it, that it has to start in the mind. And, you know, we have to nurture that area where our creativity comes from. So I guess for me, that's why, in answer to your question, why I'm so passionate about it.
Yeah, I love it. And this conversation is very timely because I feel like the entire world is looking at Michael Jackson with a different pair of lens.
Right.
Everyone's watched the biopic, and the ones who have, by just being in these spaces, you've had a conversation or two that, oh my God, he was like this because of what you're talking about. You have to always go back to find out why this is manifesting the way it is. What are some of because we are saying the ripple of effect of mental health. In your opinions, both of you, what do you think the ripple effect of mental health, an unhealthy version of mental health, what do you think it bears on society?
Do you want to go first?
No, please go ahead.
Okay. So I'm going to address this based on the two genders, so male and female.
Yes.
So I'm going to start with female because the ripple effect of mental health on both ends, positive or negative on women, comes down to the roles that the society observes women through, okay? So women, we are related, the society relates with women based on three roles. You're once a maiden, then you're a mother, then you're a matriarch. You're a maiden, people ask you when you're going to get married. Then you get married. What's the next question they ask?
Children.
So you become a mother. And then when your children are grown, what question are you asked?
I don't know.
Grandchildren.
Oh, yes.
You become a matriarch. So for women, whether positive or negative, we can kind of save ourselves based on the three roles that the society looks us at on.
Yes.
The way they look us. And also for women, we have a wider scope of social networks that help us manage with our emotional health. So you either have your sister who you're close to, or your mom. If you're not close to that, you have a friend who you're close to, who you can open up to. If you're not close to that, you have a chama where you go laugh,
Or your nail tech, or your hairdresser.
Yeah. So when you look at a woman, her scope of emotional exuding, or where she's able to actually just go and exhale, is wider. And also between 80 to 85% of all people who show up to therapy are women. So there is access in terms of emotional health, emotion regulation for women.
Yeah.
So whether a woman is going through a difficult emotional time or a not difficult emotional time, she has these networks of people that she can talk to. And also she has these 3 points that her identity, she can reclaim her identity. If you failed at marriage, which I have, by the way, if you're not married, you can reclaim as motherhood. And if you don't have a mother, once you're much older, 60, 70, everybody sees you as their grandmother, right? The whole society. So if you look at a woman's identity, the loss, they're there, but it declines as their age goes up. Now, for men is another thing altogether. So first of all, this is my supervisor. He's called Dr. Not Michelle Karume. I have to credit him for this because this scientific is not. It's not from. He's called Mushiri. Dr. Mushiri Karega shared with us that there was a study he saw that the men today have 30% less testosterone than their fathers. Now, if you look at that practically, you have men struggling with their identity. Unlike us, who we are related with the three roles, maiden, mother, matriarch, men, ambiguity. You're once a boy, then you're a man. That's why the worst insult to give a man is, you're such a boy, right?
Yes.
And then the ambiguity of the identity is based on anatomy. It's just literally like sex, like you're a man because you have a penis. And when you look at the spaces, very limited. And so you then understand, sorry to say, because most of our leaders are men, why we live in such an emotionally dysregulated society. Is because there are no spaces, mental health spaces for these men to actually feel, or they don't actually feel like I can approach the ambiguity of my identity in a safe emotional space, because there's a lot of ambiguity, there's a lot of misconception that a man should show up, this and that. And so when you look at it in the two genders, you see how disparate we are in terms of our emotional experiences or our mental health experiences, even in our society today. And the whole idea is not supplementary, the whole idea is complementary, is that they are struggling, we are also struggling. We are thriving. I don't know if they are, to be honest, or not. I don't know. But all of us are struggling. On a baseline, every single person is struggling with an aspect of their mental health in this country, and it's so, so sad. And you can tell, even just by the society experiences that we have. Drive around town, where the most, especially on a Friday or Saturday, I'm not one to judge, but where do we have the most traffic? It's around recreational centers.
Say bars.
Yeah.
Around
it's around
bars.
bars and all that stuff. Why? Because you just want to forget. But what do you want to forget? It's all the struggle that your brain has been going through the whole week. Just this moment, I don't want to be a human that's struggling. I just want to forget. I just want to be normal again, even if it's for the night.
Yeah. I was going to give you a statistic before we move to Angie. 1 out of 10 Nairobi men between the ages of 18 and 25 have erectile dysfunction disorder. And guess what? It's not lifestyle. You've seen everyone is jogging, running, walking, cycling. We have a very active generation of younger Kenyans. Why? It's all mental health. We had that conversation last week on Wellness Wednesday. We're going to be called to come because we need to peek inside that head of yours. Angie, what do you think? What happens? What do you think happens to society when mental health is ignored for too long?
I think we're already seeing it
there.
around us. Yeah, it's already manifesting in broken relationships. It's manifesting in the way we consume information. I really feel like this information age we're living in is also playing a really, really big role, because you can be scrolling one thing and then you're bombarded with 5 ways to do this and another 5 and another 5. And before you know it, I don't know, you're the expert, but the brain is overwhelmed.
We're overstimulated.
We're overstimulated. So I'm not sure whether all the solutions we're seeing online, and we're always scrolling, are actually helping us or making the situation worse. I don't know what the statistics are of mental health today versus before social media. Maybe it was there and we just didn't see it in our grandparents, in our mothers and fathers. But today it's so prevalent in the way we interact with people, and especially, like I mentioned earlier, in our industry, we see it everywhere. People are struggling. They put on their makeup and they look well put together on social media, and then once the lights come down, they're dealing with depression and they're dealing with anxiety, and they're not speaking to humans. They're just interacting with people online. So, I see it every day, and it's quite sad. I'm wondering whether because mental health is not visible, that it's harder to detect, or whether we're just choosing to ignore. And I feel like everyone has become so me, like self-love, self-care, self-this and self-that. And it's wonderful, but to what extent? To what extent? Like, if you're struggling right now, I wouldn't know, because you all look beautiful, but then I wouldn't be able to tell, So how do we even support each other if we can't see what mental health looks like on the outside?
I really love what you've said. And I don't even think, there's something you said, maybe you can help shed some light on it from, your knowledge. Whether social media is a catalyst in the wrong direction, because was depression always there? Is it worse now because we know of it? Or is it just capitalism? We're living in such a fast-paced world, like Angie was trying to say, where there's so much going on at the same time. We are overstimulated. The economy is in shambles. How do you think an individual, I know, of course, it can't be a one conversation we'll have, with you about this, but how do you think people can maybe self-regulate just on a personal level? I started my journey to healing 3 months ago. I started therapy, and I remember the first time I said on air, you should see, who are you going to talk about? Everyone feels, even in my house, guys are like, you want to go and talk about, even my family, why do you need therapy? Why does something horrific have to have happened to me for me to want to do inner work? I turned 40 in January, and I was like, this is a nice place to start. You all say life begins at 40. I've told you many things, just
I love it.
pick one, because we feel like when someone wants to go for therapy, there must be. In fact, we bundle up all mental issues as mwenda wazimu.
Right.
Yeah, mwenda wazimu.
And maybe to pick up from that, but I have a point on what Angie said. In all honesty, we are all mad to some level. That's the reality, because the life that we live at this point, it will break you into depths you never thought you knew. We are all mad, and I think there's a book that says that. It just depends on the level of insanity that we show up in, just FYI. But Angie, maybe and thank you for bringing that up. I don't know so please allow me to go a little bit native here. I don't know which ethnic backgrounds you come from. I'm Kikuyu.
I'm Kamba.
I'm Taita.
Do you guys have the word of depression or anxiety in your native language?
Nope.
No. No, not at all.
Even I don't know the name, the native, which then tells you if our forefathers or our predecessors, you don't name something that doesn't exist.
I love that.
But then why didn't it exist? Because they lived in communities. And I know in Kikuyu, they used to have, and I'm not saying we go back there, I'm just saying the practicality of community. They used to have these things called Rika, which is like age mates.
Yeah,
so you and your age mates go somewhere, you do crazy things, and then you come back. Matriarchal mothers would do something different. That sense of community is what that heals. In trauma, one of the things that really help to heal trauma is physical touch. Because when somebody touches you, they are witnessing your presence as a human being. You're not alone.
Wow.
And so, as you said, to the detriment of self, I personally don't advocate for that. Because the more I advocate for self, the more I isolate you. There's a lot of scientific research that show how isolation affects your immunity. So much so that the first world, like in Britain and other countries, they have minister of loneliness. Because people, they've seen that you continue to live in isolation, you literally continue to develop diseases and illnesses, and it's very expensive for their economy. So the whole thing of how can I do this myself, it can't work. I'm sorry, it can't.
Yeah.
You need somebody else, and that's why therapy is so effective, is that you have an unbiased person who's literally reverberating what you're saying, and they're telling you, this is how you sound like. Do you like how you sound? Yes or no? Okay, no. What do you think we can change about that? Who is your closest person who we can exercise the emotional safety that you feel in therapy? How can we transfer that to another person? We were not created for isolation as human beings.
Yeah.
We need community.
We're social beings.
We are social beings. Healing does not occur in isolation.
Right.
Healing very effectively happens with contact with another human being, because they are witnessing that you're alive. And that's what we need to, that's what we need. That's why, I don't know if you guys have children. My son is 20, so I might have forgotten.
Wait. Good Lord, you have a 20-year-old child.
Actually older than you. I'm 42 this year.
Hey, black don't crack.
It
Look
don't.
at you.
We don't. But
You have
also
a
God's
20.
grace.
What?
Yeah.
Someone who's gone through puberty. My God.
Anyway,
wonderful.
but if you guys remember, when children are young and maybe they're playing and you're watching them, even in their house, what do children do? They come and tag, mommy, see.
Yeah.
Literally, the child is telling you, look at me, I'm alive. See me. If they're swinging, they'll come and tell you, mommy, see, I'm swinging.
Yeah.
And when you affirm, oh, yeah, you are, they have the biggest smile on their face.
Yeah.
If children that young require us to witness that they're alive, how much more of a fully grown adult who's been broken and shaken and has gone through so much experiences?
Yeah.
How healing do you feel that is?
Yeah.
It's very, very, it's powerful.
Wow.
So we cannot heal in isolation. It cannot work.
Wow.
Let me read some messages here before we get to what Angie has been up to and the reason why we have this very powerful conversation. I wish we had another hour because this is not enough. Sarah Sash on X says, Kwanza, before we get mental, we need a County 49 reboot ASAP. Shinde. I was waiting for someone to call you that. Shinde Benzo. She's here in the flesh and looking. Black Don't Crack poster child is this one. She needs to tell us what she has been using. Shinde, you know, we have some unfinished business between Agnes and Okusimba at Ainea Ojiambo. Ebu Kuja, we have unfinished business, and he has been summoned to come here. And then Anthony Madenge says, Achelanda Mulo, ask for me whether a crush on a popular star is a positive or negative mental health issue. We anapenda Sheila Mwanyiga, you tumia picha yake every day. On the real though, don't play. But Angie, how I want you to tell us what you've been up to without me telling my listener, how you're using your craft and your talents to shed more light on this conversation on mental health.
Right.
You can talk about the play.
Sure. Okay. So this weekend, starting Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, we'll be staging a mental health production called In the Seashell Hum.
Yes.
The reason why the author, who is Adipo Sidang, he's a wonderful Kenyan author, wonderful. He actually did the set book Parliament of Owls.
Yes.
So now he's on his second stage production, In the Seashell Hum. And the reason why he has titled it that is because we have our main character, who is a man,
Yes.
and he's going through some challenges, and he's sort of likened it to having mental issues, like the way you would hear in the seashell hum. And so the play is centered around what is going on in his mental psyche.
Oh, wow.
It's also a wonderful production because it not only shows the challenges he faces, but how it affects people around him. So a lot of the time, I think the challenges we have is the caregivers don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Sometimes we respond in a way that's not helpful. Sometimes we treat it lightly, like you've said, huyu ni mwendo wazimu, you know? And so it affects people. It has a ripple effect on his environment. And ultimately, we try and find a way to navigate through it, because it's not just a one-stop solution. We try to navigate how it's affecting everyone and how do we find solutions for his challenge. So it's been put together. It's been a wonderful, wonderful experience to just go through the script, to go through the dialogue. We've internalized the characters. In fact, we might need some de-rolling after this, because I start to feel like, oh my goodness, have I become the person who I'm playing on the stage? But I would encourage everybody to buy a ticket, come and watch it. It's entertaining. It's a little bit uncomfortable, as it will be, because, you know, sometimes people don't like to hear what we see around us in our society. But it's so, so important. So it will be staged at the Kenya National Theatre from the 15th, 16th, and 17th.
I love that. I love that. And I'll ask you both, could better mental health support change the way Kenya functions? Because we're heading fast and furious towards an election year, and everything that is mad that happens in our country. We've just come from 2024, and I don't know if you guys have managed to unsee what we saw. I haven't. And we like to sweep things under we go back to normalcy, or we have a curfew, let's go back. Biashara, maduka zifunguliwe. We forget people died. We saw children saw bodies. We saw so much. And then now we're supposed to go back to just living. So what do you think can be done better, even by, let's not even talk about our government. I'm sorry, and I'm not being a skeptic, but what do you think can be done actively by stakeholders in the mental health conversation to make sure that we forge forward mentally healthier?
I think for me the first step would be for at least people to acknowledge it. Like you mentioned, like when you started therapy, there was like some mockery or something to the extent. But then I think in order for therapy to work, and you can let me know, you also have to be in a state of mind where you want the help. Because there's no point of spending resource to go and get a therapist when you're not going to be truthful about what it is you're going through. And if you're, to the best of your capacity, because I know some people might not have the capacity to see that I actually need to seek some guidance or a consultancy. But I think one of the things, if you do know that you're going through a struggle of some kind, please admit that at least to yourself. At least at the bottom of the barrel, so that you can go for therapy and then get the help that you need. I guess it's a rewiring of the brain to some extent.
It is.
But then if people don't want to rewire their brains, then, you know, it's...
What do we do?
Yeah, we're just stuck in this world, and it doesn't seem to be getting better. So we need to find better coping mechanisms, because the world is what it is. And I think it will start with you yourself first admitting that I might need help in this area of my life.
I love that. I love y'all. Y'all need to come back again, even after the play is finished. And then Nyambura, the therapist.
So there are certain bodies that advocate for mental health access. I don't know if I'm required to, but I will say.
Yeah, it's okay. There are resources. Public interest always comes first. I will deal with my boss that it's free advertising later, but please give resources. Yeah, let that be my burden when you go. Yeah.
Okay, so the Kenya Counselor Psychologist Board that regulates mental health practitioners have really been pushing to have counseling services at every county level, in schools and in public offices. So we might not be able to see the fruit there, but I do know the Kenya Counselor Psychologist Board. By the way, I'm just
Yes.
member,
Yeah.
okay?
Yes.
But I know they're doing a lot of work to push for access. I also know either they're in talks or it has completed or it's continuing. I know they've been pushing to have mental health covered under SHA.
Please,
So,
it's about time.
right? So that would really be great. I don't know how far on they've gone into. So I think this body has done a great job. In terms of family systems, there's a body called Systemic Family Association of Kenya.
Yes.
And we have members who are able to take on family systems cases, either pro bono or at a really reduced cost.
Yes.
And the good thing about the STFAK, or the Systemic Family Association of Kenya, they use a lot of scientific information. So it's not like a near miss, it's evidence-based. However, let's come to the ground level of the individual. As Angie has mentioned, awareness, acknowledgement is always the first step. Just taking a sit back and saying, okay, I really want to go here, but I feel like I'm emotionally stuck here. Knowing where you're emotionally stuck, just try and get information how to, if you can't access this services. But the most powerful ones, try and form healthy emotional connections. Even with one person, it actually saves a life.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love
Even
that.
with that one person.
I love that, because nowadays we just all want to stay in isolation. I don't know for what reason. Angie, when you're looking at the entertainment industry now and you're told to go back and start your career again, would you? With cancel culture, with people sitting with bundles in Makueni, just they can tear you apart from the comfort of Lord knows. Would you?
You know, because this is the industry I know. So I wouldn't want to change it for anything. Perhaps I would, like you've said so well, that I would surround myself with good community, because you can't rely on your 1 million followers. Those ones don't care about you. They might love what you do, but at the end of the day, they don't care about you the way your community would. So I would do it again and just make sure I'm surrounded by the right people to, continue to walk that journey with me.
I love that. I know Nyambura has class. She told me she best be out of here in 4 minutes. So I'm going to play Charlie Wilson. There Goes My Baby. Amazing women. Thank you so much. Go watch the play. Watch this full episode. It's going to be on YouTube. We love evergreen content. And we are streaming. We've been streaming live on spicefm.co.ke and, of course, on Facebook. And, your handles, ladies, so that people can follow for more.
I am Miss Mwandanda on Instagram, on LinkedIn, on Facebook.
Nyambura the therapist. Yeah, on IG, TikTok, Facebook, and LinkedIn as well.
Let me tell you something, Angie. Many groups have gone back to giving people, even TLC, Escape are on tour. I'm just saying, I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying that no one would die if the three of you put on a show. Nobody would die, not even one person. Now there's millennial brunch, millennial breakfast, millennial road trip, millennial sleepover, millennial slumber party. Just jump in there. Us guys are ready.
That's all I'm gonna say.
You might just feel us emotionally.
That's all I'm saying, girl. That's all I'm saying. Stand by for the news in the next 2. Thank you so much for making the time to join us here.
Thank you.